Tipping culture has gotten out of control.
Can we talk about tipping culture for a second? I just ordered a large cappuccino. It was $11.95. Then the barista...
$11.95 is absolutely diabolical. How are you paying $11 for a drink? And yes, I was taken aback. I was clutching my pearls. Do you tip? Do you give a tip? Are you a tipper? Do you do tips? Are you a tipper? I want to know what in the chat. Yay or no? Yay or nay? Put tip in the chat. Are you a tipper? And for the general sense, like waiters at restaurants, maybe baristas at the coffee house, your lawn care person. Do you tip or are you, what? Most people are saying, okay, cool. All right. Okay, so we're going to talk about this because this is one of the aftermaths of the FIFA World Cup. And World Cup ended and we just kind of moved on, right? But one of the aftermaths is that Europeans came here and foreigners came here to the United States, and they're not familiar with what we do in tipping. And they don't understand it because they don't tip in their native country, their home country. So tipping became kind of a little controversial topic. So I found a couple of discussions around tipping. Now, the tipping that we're talking about is what's basically called tipping culture. And it just seems like I don't know. I think it might have gone a little bit too far. Let me know what y'all think. Let's get at it. Green Hearts in the chat, you can hear.
Can we talk about tipping culture for a second? I just ordered a large cappuccino.
She ordered a large cappuccino. All right. I want y'all to put in the chat how much do you think this large cappuccino costs? I'm not going to tell you where she is. You just put it what you think. How much do you think a large cappuccino costs? I'm just going to put them back up a little bit so we get a little running start. In the chat, like how much do you think it costs? A large cappuccino. Not how much would you pay? Now, that's not the question I asked. But how much do you think it would cost? Great day. Okay. All right. I like it. Okay. Oh, goodness gracious. Dang, you got it down to the pennies. Okay. I see y'all. Okay. And this number was crazy when she said this. I said, y'all are wild, man. I would unequivocally get moved back and start using a Keurig. Let's back it up. Let's go.
Can we talk about tipping culture for a second? I just ordered a large cappuccino. It was $11.95. Then the barista...
$11.95 is absolutely diabolical. How are you paying $11 for a drink? And yes, I was taken aback. I was clutching my pearls. I'm like, how in the world are you paying $11? Might as well call it $12 for a cup of coffee with foamy milk. That's crazy work.
Slowly turns the iPad around and you see you have 15%, 25%, or 35% options. Now, I know this is a tipping culture and it's a huge part of the culture here, and I genuinely don't mind tipping, but I'm sorry. Did you personally harvest those beans one by one from Guatemala or something? Because, I don't know, you help milk the cow? I'm struggling to understand the math here. And then everyone behind me in line is pretending that they're not looking at me. And the barista also doesn't look at me, but she's cleaning the machine and I feel judged, you know? I feel like they know exactly which button I'm gonna press. And I panic, but I hit costume tip and I type $1 because, come on, let's do the math. I work 4 days a week. I buy 2 coffees a day. That's almost $500 a month on coffee, okay? At some point, I have to stop pretending I have enough money to fund a nonprofit. Just don't think tipping should feel like you're being publicly audited, because once there's an audience, it's not tipping anymore. It's protection money.
Have you ever wondered why tipping is such an ingrained part of a...
So I'm gonna come back to this young brother right here. This is a very interesting perspective he has. I don't know if I agree with it 100%. Let me do it like, what happened to me? Okay, let's do it like this, Jason. But okay, I'm gonna tell you one way to beat tipping culture is to pay with cash. If you pay with cash, you don't have to worry about tipping culture or being pressured to tip because there's not an iPad to do. There's literally, at this moment at least, everywhere I've gone where I've paid cash for something, they don't ask me for a tip. If I go to the exact same place and use a card, that's when they ask you for a tip. So I would say, have you a little bit of cash. If you know you're going to pay $11.95 for a cappuccino, which was not a large cup either. That better have been some really good coffee. Just have some cash on you that you will beat and you can still tip the people, but you don't have to feel like you have to, or you're like, we're slowing down the transaction unless I tip you, which is still just diabolical in my opinion. Okay, let's bring this in because this, and I want to hear your thoughts on this one. I think the gentleman, I don't think he's making it up. I've heard very similar stories in times past, but I want to hear what y'all think.
It's protection money.
Have you ever wondered why tipping is such an ingrained part of American culture? We all know tipping has become so normalized in 2026. Even grocery stores now are asking you to leave a tip for the grocery.
For real? A grocery store is doing this now? That is crazy work.
Groceries you bag during self-checkout. But how did we get here? Most of us view tipping as just a normal part of going out, a simple matter of good manners. But if you look at the history, the American tipping structure is actually a legally enforced wage system with roots deeply embedded in the Jim Crow era. As with most things in this country, it always starts with a racist past. To understand how we got here, we have to look at Europe. Tipping began as a medieval European custom where aristocrats gave extra coins to servants for doing a good job. In the 1800s, wealthy Americans visiting Europe brought this habit home, mostly to show off. At first, the rest of America absolutely hated it. Critics called it classist and undemocratic, arguing that relying on tips forced one citizen into financial subordination to another, which went against everything the country claimed to stand for. The turning point, however, came in 1865, right after the Civil War. Slavery was abolished, but true economic freedom did not follow. Newly freed Black Americans were shut out of almost every major industry by Jim Crow laws. So they took whatever service jobs they could find, working as waiters, barbers, and railroad porters. To save on labor costs, the businesses that hired them decided to pay them a base salary of exactly $0. They expected these workers to live entirely on whatever change customers chose to leave on the table. Tipping didn't spread across America because people suddenly became more generous. It spread because it was the perfect loophole to exploit Black labor without the legal obligations of ownership. Ergo, slavery. Eventually, this corporate habit became federal law. During the Great Depression, when Congress was debating the first minimum wage in the 1930s, Southern politicians refused to pass the bill if it guaranteed a fair wage for industries dominated by Black workers. Anything to oppress Black people, right? To get the bill passed, a compromise was made, a legal carve-out that created a separate, much lower minimum wage just for tipped employees. We are still living with the legacy of that compromise today. The federal tip minimum wage has been frozen at $2.13 an hour since 1991. That's over 30 years without a raise. The modern tip jar didn't evolve from a place of generosity. It's the direct descendant of a system designed to deny certain people a guaranteed wage. So the next time you calculate a tip, remember, it's not about etiquette. It's about a historical loophole that still dictates who gets paid. If you're not American and you question the American system, like why we tip, why we don't have adequate healthcare, why we don't have adequate public transportation, why? 9 times out of 10, everything in this country circles back down to racism. Yet we're still here. Stay Black, stay blessed.
I'm going to make tipping make sense to you. Tips used to be optional, a bonus you gave for exceptional service. The restaurant paid the server a full wage, and tips were extra appreciation on top. But like all things, the pendulum swings. Restaurant owners realized they could make you pay their employees directly and keep more profit. So they lobbied to create a separate minimum wage for tipped workers, $2.13 an hour in some states. Here's the part they don't want you to understand. Tips aren't going to the server anymore. They're subsidizing the owner's payroll. You're not being generous. You're doing the restaurant's job. They're running a business where the customer pays for the food and pays the staff, while the owner pockets the difference. And now it's not just restaurants. Coffee shops, food trucks, iPad checkouts everywhere, all asking for 20% tips on a $4 coffee. Because they realized you'll pay their workers for them. They guilt you with that little screen. They make you the bad guy if you don't tip. Meanwhile, the owner, who's actually underpaying everyone, stays invisible. And anybody who understands capitalism knows employers will always choose guilt over paying a living wage if you let them. You're not cheap. You're covering someone else's responsibility. We may not see each other again, so make sure to follow this page.
All right. Okay, before she jumps in, I can totally understand. I've heard that's how tipping got started here in the United States. I just want to return back to the world where tips were given for phenomenal service. I think if we just went back to that and said the service was phenomenal, therefore I'm tipping, versus you just did something and I'm going to give you some tip. And I think part of the reason, in my opinion, what drove it well off the rails is the gig culture, the DoorDashes, the Postmates, that kind of situation there. I think because those persons literally work on tips, and it's just they infuse so many of them into the system that tipping has become off the rails like we've seen now. Because you could just say, I'm not going to a restaurant that requires tipping, right? But your Uber, your DoorDash, your Postmates, your all that kind of stuff like that brought those people to your house. So I do think that that's part of the problem. But I'm not a fan of DoorDash at all. I don't know how people do it, truth be told. I don't know how people do it at all. But let's finish this up. I thought this was a great summary about it. Let's go.
Tipping culture has gotten out of control. It has. Let's just be honest. Do we even know what we're tipping for anymore?
No.
I have a question. If the definition of tipping is an extra reward going above the regular stated service as a extra payment, then if you're not going above the service that you already at a median should be offering, why am I tipping you? Now, I want to make it clear. I am an excellent tipper. I will tip just because I feel as if people, especially in this economy, things are tough. So I have it, why not? But it's got to a point now when I go into the Starbucks drive-thru, I owe you more than what you have done as in giving me and making my coffee. So if I'm supposed to tip you, remember the definition is going over and beyond as an extra reward. Where is the extra coming from? If your job is to make my coffee and hand it to me, that is what I am paying for, right? The product. I can't receive the product that I'm paying for without you giving it to me. Then where is the tip coming in? Jimmy John's, you make my sandwich. I ordered one sandwich. You make my sandwich. You hand me that sandwich. Why am I giving you an extra tip? I really want somebody to explain this to me because maybe I am missing something. Now, I'm not talking about a sit-down restaurant. I feel as if in all of those arenas, unless you just have a terrible waiter or waitress, you should be tipping. But for all of these quick fast food places and all of that, going to get ice cream, I don't mind a little tip jar. But when you're turning the tablet around, asking for 20% on top of what I already paid, I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. I'm not doing it. I'm not. And I used to have a little bit like, I have an obligation, I have to tip. No. You turn that around, I hit no tip, and I turn it right back around to you, baby. How about we actually do our job and we don't expect anything more unless we're giving above and beyond service? What a concept.
You know what? I agree with her. And, I'm wondering this. If you are somebody who's tip averse, let's just say it like that. I mean, if you're going to different places all day long, you're getting tipped to death. I understand. I totally understand. I wonder how many places have embraced this tip ideology. Because I saw it at my Starbucks recently. At the drive-thru, you scan the card, and the woman literally brought the iPad. I'd never seen it before. Never seen it before when you're using the app. I've never seen it. But anyway, and you just no tip and keep it moving. But I wonder how many people have stopped going places because they don't want to do that. So, maybe your company saw 100 people a day, but now it's kind of whittled down to maybe 92, because there's 8 people who just don't want to do that, don't want to feel guilted into tipping in the drive-thru or feel guilted into tipping at the register for a basic. Now we're not talking about a service above and beyond, but we're just talking about the basic. Here's your beverage, and where's my tip at? That's just crazy work. But what do y'all think about it? Why are you going through a drive-thru for coffee? Listen, if you go to a restaurant, tip the workers or stay your bougie butt at home. I agree with you. I agree 100%. I deliver from Target an order of, say, $350. The app says you can tip 20%. That's $70. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I guess that's 20%. That is intense right there. Okay, yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Those kind of delivery options, Kroger delivers, and I didn't realize Target does it. That's a lot. Wow. Ooh. How long till your Amazon person wants a tip? Amazon said, I'll be hitting that thing without blinking. I don't even be thinking about it. No tip. Yeah, I'm definitely team carry some cash. So okay, so here's another question I have. I wonder if places like that, again, like my scenario here, you got 100 people that come to your business every day, is whittled down to 92. But I wonder how many people, have you seen an uptick in cash? Because remember, cash is better than those digital services anyway, because the proprietor has to pay the service charge. Same thing with DoorDash and Postmates and all that stuff. There's a fee that's attached to it when the Uber Eats app is applied at your restaurant or wherever you are. So I wonder how many that is. I would love to see a study on that. Okay? No lies detected about cheap, but expected the best service. Right. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the JWhit Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment, because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.